Welcome to the Cryptoteacher. And guys, I come back with that video just to make you think. And we have Circle's Jeremy on CNBC playing the Hegelian dialectic once again. How China is far ahead. And yes, we know China is far ahead, but what he stated was not true. He stated because they have WeChat, Alipay, but guys, we have PayPal, Square, Cash App. But the reason why the United States is falling behind as far as with their own central bank digital currency is because they want China to lead us into the fourth industrial revolution, where China already has total control over its people in the first place. They want the United States to be the same way, but they know in the United States people are going to push back. But if you give the illusion of free money, and we know that's the reason why these digital currencies are going to be so important, because it's going to allow the sheep to sit at home. But it's going to be programmable money. You can use this for retail. You can use this for your light bill, water bill. It's already set up. I put the actual white paper in my Patreon, so therefore you can see it for yourself. And then also, guys, we have Gunlack, what I talked about in the earlier video today, saying that Bitcoin was dropping down to 23,000. Guys, we know Bitcoin is going to drop due to the actual Fed pumping cryptos and stocks. It's all speculation. Right now, the crypto use cases are minimal. But we do know, as far as the casino is concerned, it's definitely opening up, will allow institutional money to come in. So it may not get that 80% correction. But you have Scaramucci speaking, but we have to remember he's a hedge fund guy. He's definitely not going to tell you the truth. Remember, these guys give you half the truth. Because remember, when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Happy to talk about this. I think there's a few things that are really important to understand. I've been, watching this development really since 2014 when the project started, and it had a bit of a front row seat on it. And I think one of the really critical things is that in China, unlike in the United States and unlike in other parts of the world, there was already a rapidly adopting digital money system run by the private sector. Alipay and WeChat Pay collectively used by over 1 billion people. So this is a country where you had very, very large private sector players that effectively were becoming the private digital money system in China. And as we've seen in other industries, and as we've seen very, very specifically in the financial sector, China has been reasserting its power over the financial system. And in many ways, the ECNY, as it's now referred to, is creating a government-run alternative to these private sector digital monies. There's, in some ways, the rise of these giant internet companies and technology companies is a threat to the power of the Chinese government. And so, in part, this is a response to that, is to create an alternative that is fully controlled by the government. And of course, as you've emphasized, that introduces different levels of potential oversight, let's just say, that are not in place in a private sector based digital money system.
So the private sector fintech entities are seen as a threat, in your words. U.S., we have private sector fintech names here. Should the U.S. Be doing something similar? Should we be far more advanced in an effort to create a digital currency at this point in time? Should we be threatened by the fact that China is so far along in its quest to create this?
Well, so I think the beautiful thing about the West and the beautiful thing about the United States and many other developed economies is that there's a long, long history of the private sector driving fundamental innovation, whether that's core technologies like the internet itself, like the development of major standards for how we operate in commerce and business and in financial services. In fact, virtually every major electronic money innovation that we know of today as individuals and businesses are created by and operated by consortiums of private sector companies, whether that's the international wire transfer system, credit card networks, Apple Pay, PayPal. So the West is not a place where the government runs everything. industries are not nationalized. And so there is that long history. And in fact, that is exactly what's happening in the digital currency space. Today, just to be clear, dollar digital currencies that are operating in a free market environment on the internet are already handling over $1 trillion a year of transactions. The ECNY is said to have done 5 billion in CNY transactions. There is a rapidly growing dollar digital currency industry. And so in some ways, the US is already ahead. And my ultimate response is, I don't believe that the United States strategy in this particular space, but in a number of others, is to try and out-China China. We're innovating through private sector in space exploration, electric vehicles, so many other places. And in digital currency, that's exactly how we should be growing these industries.
How much of their quest to create a digital currency do you think explains what we saw recently with regard to the crackdown on Bitcoin miners and the crypto sector in China?
I mean, there are many different issues here. China is very, very serious about the Paris Accords and about climate. I think the specific areas where they asked miners or forced miners to close up were in areas where it was not clean energy. All of the mining in China is not stopped, but that was a very, very particular focus. And the Chinese government has many times, not just in the crypto markets, but in the stock market, in fintech lending markets, and so many of these very, very diverse, innovative spaces, has had to come in and basically crackdown is what we use, but further regulate these because of concerns over social stability. If you have huge amounts of the Chinese population speculating and then losing money, they're going to come to the state and they're going to ask the state to deal with that. So anytime you see a risk to social stability, the Chinese government steps.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've been on numerous occasions talking about Bitcoin. You have an investment in it with your fund. I think you have an investment with it personally as well. I want you to listen to what Jeffrey Gundlach told me yesterday during our interview. You can react on the other side.
It looks like a massive Head and Shoulders top. I'm not a big believer in Head and Shoulders tops, but this one looks pretty convincing. And I think by turning neutral at 23,000 was obviously too early, but I got a feeling you're going to be able to buy it below 23,000 again.
How about that, Anthony?
Well, listen, he's very smart. He may be right, but I think, for us, we're stepping back and looking at the 30,000-foot view, and I'm looking at all the architecture that's being built around Bitcoin, the announcement by Jack Dorsey yesterday. I accept that what Jeff is saying about the current Bitcoin bear market, and yes, we are in a bear market for Bitcoin if you just look at the measurements of what a bear market is, but things are moving very quickly. We could be out of a bear market in Bitcoin by the fall, Scott. We could look up at Bitcoin to be at 43, 44,000, and people say, wow, look at that. And so I just think there's a supply-demand imbalance still long-term from a macro and meta perspective.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort. And China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller, The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.